We got some Timcast. It's big news, everybody. I know our libertarian guests are really excited to hear. Meta has reinstated Trump's Facebook and Instagram with heightened penalties. Other public figures whose accounts are reinstated from suspensions related to civil unrest will also face similar penalties. But there it is, everybody. MAGA Man is back. Donald Trump can now post on Facebook and Instagram, and he should. And he should also be on Twitter. But,
will he? Or
I don't know, man. I think he's got a contract with Truth Social that says he can't for a certain period of time or something like that.
Doesn't he?
Because I want to be clear,
Social?
Trump, his social media presence was by far my favorite thing about him. Like I loved his Twitter. I loved how he talked about.
You don't say, Reed. You don't say.
I might have taken some.
You're kidding, right?
It's kind of like Tim was bringing up earlier with if he hadn't had his like weights, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's a perfect guy. I'm not saying he's like Ron Paul or something. But if he did, if government
Ron Paul's a perfect guy, huh?
Yeah, well, not perfect, but he's the closest idea of a politician I can think of. But if he wasn't weighed down, if the government didn't government, it'd be super awesome. Yes, the incentives point a certain way, and like it was, if you like, for example, I think if like a Ron Paul got in office, I think it would probably be a similar thing. Either he'd take a ride down in Dallas, or he would end up, some way being tied down this way or that to where he wasn't really able to get the things he wanted done the same way Trump was. Because there's certain incentives in place when you start rocking the boat, it doesn't work out well usually.
Yeah, you got to have the American population rock the boat for you, and then you just make sure that you don't veto their changes when they rock it to where it needs to be rocked to. But if you go up there and try to become the president and make all the changes yourself, you're just an easy target.
I mean, I honestly don't have any faith at all in politics in general, but especially at a federal level. I think once you get down more local, you get more to where you can actually have results, even down to the individual. I think as an individual, you can make your life better more than you can fix the federal government.
You don't think Trump is perfect?
No.
Have you not seen his body when he's golfing?
Yeah,
it's true.
Very bigly.
He might be the most healthy president ever.
Too healthy, actually.
The healthiest.
Too healthy. Yeah, too good of health.
He had to
slow down,
fatten up for the role.
I do miss him. I'm glad that we're starting to see him more. And I mean, I just loved the comedic value he brought to everything.
It was so much
good.
fun.
He initiated Clown World.
So
I really
much
did.
fun.
I want to meet him because I'm tired of talking about him like third person. Donald, come on the show. And what doesn't he not own Truth Social? So how could he? Did he sign?
You
his
guys
own?
got to get my friend Eric Jackman on here. He does the perfect Trump impersonations. You got to check out Jackman Radio on Twitter. Everybody, go follow.
In Trump.
Oh God, Trump has seen him act as himself, and he approved of it. He had him come up on stage and congratulated him and everything. Phil's seen it. It's great.
It's a good Trump.
He's losing weight though. He's been getting in shape. So good on you, buddy.
Yeah, he's trying to emulate Trump's perfect health. So
awesome. So Tim, you were saying even as an owner of a company, you can
have contract with yourself. So I mean, I don't think he owns Truth Social 100%. I think they're a SPAC, so they have shareholders and stuff like that. And then, in order to do this deal, if people are going to buy shares of this company, they need to know that Trump's not going to abandon it. Yep. So the company says,
to increase his own valuation, he made a deal that he wouldn't leave. He would.
But it's not just him. There's other people involved in the company who say, if we're going to do this, if we're going to work a company with you, you got to agree not to go to other platforms. So my understanding is that he can post on Truth, and then he can link to his Truth post. So he can post on Twitter something like, I called that fat pig out, and then link to Truth, and then Truth shows the bigger one.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
And there's like a time frame too. He can post it on Truth, and after a certain amount of time, he can then post it on Twitter or somewhere else. But he's got to get back on these platforms, man.
So didn't Elon say he was going to he wasn't going to allow just nothing but posting to another platform? Wasn't there something he said about that?
I think he walked that back.
Okay.
And the funny thing is everyone got really mad at him about that, but that's literally the policy of every social media platform. If you use the platform just to link out to a different platform, you can get suspended or get your post removed. YouTube especially, they'll ban you outright because people would do this thing where they'd make a live stream saying, go watch the show on Twitch instead. And then YouTube's like, nah, you can't do that, delete. So Elon says, we'll do the same thing. If you're only linking out to somebody else, we're going to, you can't do that. Everybody got mad. And Twitter's a different platform,
So Truth Social is owned by Trump Media and Technology Group, which is owned by Donald Trump, as far as I can tell, and Devin Nunes is the CEO of the parent company. But that parent company, Trump Media and Technology Group, merged with a company called Digital World Acquisition Corp. in 2021, October. I don't know who owns Digital World. Yeah, DWAC.
Yeah.
I don't know who owns that exactly, but I'm about to find out.
I love how, like, instead of tweets, they're literally called truths. Isn't that every time?
It's so weird. I don't like the brand. You don't. It's not a verb.
I know, but it's so Trump. It's so Trumpy. I just love it.
Truth is subjective. Like
So is Trump.
Look, that spaceship on the table is pointing to the left,
Easy.
but for you, that spaceship
Easy.
on the table is pointing to the right.
Easy, Mr. Postmodernism.
Both of our truths are correct, and like literally, that spaceship model you see right in front of you, it's pointing to the left, but to you, that's not true. It
depends what
to
kind
you,
of
it's
claims
pointing
you're
to the
making,
right.
but yeah.
So our perspective is guiding our truth. So I don't like that he's claiming that he has the truth.
I don't disagree with the concept you're drawing, but it's Trump, so I just love it that every time he says something, it's a truth. You know, it's very much the way he thinks. So
Yeah, he's truthing. That's all. That's the only thing he ever does. Everything is a truth. But we need him back. I don't know why he's not posting. Maybe it's contractual obligations.
I have a feeling it's
But I think it's
that.
time.
He's just not in touch with the base anymore.
So Tim, do you think he would win? Because I've been amazed how many people don't think he would win now.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I see the propaganda where they claim that Joe Biden would beat him by 8 points, but I just roll my eyes at that. I'm not sure it matters if it's Trump or ham sandwich, so long as ballot harvesting and universal mail-in voting is the machine by which we're determining our elections.
In 2016, he was a wrench in the spokes of the transition of the liberal world order to the new world order. Like, he got us out of Trans-Pacific Partnership day one, and they, without him even knowing what he was doing, probably he was smashing up the plan, and they wanted him out. But now I think the plan is out in the open, and it's like kind of amorphous. We're obviously not going techno-communist. I don't know anyone that's down to put microchips and be spied on all day by a corporation and be told when and what you can say.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there's a lot more potential for him, but he's older. I mean, Congress Matt Gaetz, they really are bullish on Trump.
I just don't think he's in touch with his base.
Yeah,
The whole
I
vax
agree with
stuff,
those,
and then this was definitely your thing, so I'll pass it off to you. But I don't like. I mean, I'm not a Republican, but most people I hang out with, those are like I feel like that's the base that he had, the kind of people I interact with on day-to-day thing. They're all like DeSantis. You know, that's what they're all about. That's what everyone's about these days. So unless he changes his messaging, maybe gets on Twitter, gets riles things back up again, maybe. I don't know. I don't see it right now, but a lot can change between now and then.
Gets like a really young, famous, energetic vice president. That could breathe a lot of life into the campaign.
I mean, he needs to get back into the public space. He's been putting out these videos where he talks about his policy plans, and he's very much been addressing culture war issues, but he needs to just get on Twitter. And that's a tough thing, you know. Elon Musk buys Twitter. I'm sure Elon is like, please, Trump, come back, because it's gonna set the platform on fire, and like in a good way, it's gonna light it up. Trump's got to get out there and post those tweets where he calls Coke garbage. Yeah. Remember that one? I'll still keep drinking that garbage though. That's what we want to see.
He needs to be Trump. Trump needs to be Trump on Twitter. He needs to be Trump in the domain where people are going to see him most, and he needs to be the off the cuff Trump.
When I speak of my haters, I speak of them with love. It's not their fault they're born effed up.
I love it.
Not having Twitter, you are invisible. Like, even at my level, I just got my Twitter back this morning. Lost it in October of 2021, and without it, like, it's hard to network with people. And the same with his level, at the level he is, it's hard to be in touch with the world, because Twitter is how politics travels now.
Yeah, you become invisible in the political space.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the entire entertainment zone.
Sure.
Like, I don't know Mr. Beast has a Twitter profile, but I mean, it's all YouTube. You know, once you get big on YouTube for cartoons and making people laugh, you don't really need Twitter. It's just like but if you're in politics, you absolutely need to be connected to that, I think, to understand. I don't know, man. I wish I knew if he was on contract, exclusive Truth Social contract, because where the hell is he? Where's he been?
Outside of that, there's a conversation about how do we protect our rights on social media if what you're saying is true. You can't network without Twitter. It's very difficult. A technology is being granted to one political faction to use, you know, however they see fit. Another faction is getting banned and suspended. How do you solve for that? I mean, I don't think you guys are going to be all about government regulation in that regard.
Yeah, what's crazy is, you know, you guys had Jeremy Kauffman on last year, I think, who's a friend of mine in New Hampshire. He created Odyssey, which was like a free speech alternative to YouTube, and the feds have been going after him like crazy. There's been all sorts of court cases. Right now, Ben Swan, who I have networked with a little bit, he's trying to create a new platform called Sovereign, And all these different platforms are just learning from the mistakes of the previous ones, where the federal government can basically screw them over and trying to figure out how to work their way around it. But I think that is the alternative, is like making just making alternatives.
On the point we were talking about with Trump earlier, like his feet being way down. Same thing with this. Like if you're trying to create different ways for this to work, we saw with Twitter, and it's pretty clear with Facebook and probably other social media as well. They're infiltrated with feds. They get corporate welfare, this, that. But the little guys like Odyssey, all these other upstarts, they have the exact opposite problems. The incentives are driving things one way or the other. So it's like, I don't really necessarily think throwing the government in the mix is going to help. If anything, I think reducing it would be the best, personally. But I mean, I don't know. It is usually people do get a brand name, that's what they stick with. But definitely don't let them get infiltrated with feds like Twitter did. I
don't know that you can prevent social media companies from becoming infiltrated with with federal
there's
agents.
A way, Phil.
The reason I say is because it's too much of a honeypot. I mean, the capabilities that your average phone has, like to monitor the average person, the idea that the federal government isn't going to attempt to get their fingers into software that makes that possible. I don't know that you get a world without governments trying to do that, and I don't know how you stop them either.
Well, you free software. If your code's on GitHub or GitLab or something where people can watch and see if it's tracking you, at least if the software itself is tracking you. The networks are, I don't know, you'll never be able to keep people out of the networks. You'll have feds undercover in the networks, but you don't want you don't want companies running social media. I don't. The companies can get hijacked, so you want decentralized software packets that do it on.
If they drop the patents, it'd be like that's another thing where the government gets involved with the patent system. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not a tech guy. I'm kind of a tech idiot. But if they dial back some of the regulation they have there, it makes so much easier for a starting point for people for like alternative like social medias and stuff.
Dial back what exactly?
Patents, because I know your big thing is about like releasing information in the world. Like, I mean, I don't know exactly how it works in tech. I'm a tech idiot, but I'm assuming a lot of these things are protected between like IP type stuff.
Yes.
So, and I know that's a common point you touch on a lot.
Yeah, I brought that up last night to Jim Jordan. That one way, instead of breaking up a company monopoly like Twitter or Alphabet by smashing it into 7 different companies and then giving the CEO of Alphabet access to all the code from all 7 companies, which would be counterintuitive, you would actually force them to free their software code or aspects of their software code that would let other people compete.
I would be completely miserable if that happened to Apple. And the reason is I want Apple to have tight control over their products because I am willing to pay extra for the synergy that comes when you use Apple products. When I open up my EarPods for the first time, they automatically find the phone, etc. Like Apple products are made to work together. As soon as you open up the code and you essentially are just turning Apple products into other hardware where the software is open and people can do whatever they want to create software, then you end up with the same issue that you get with PCs now, which is you don't know how reliable the company that produced whatever piece of software you have is, or whatever piece of software you want to use. You don't know how reliable they are. You don't know how the quality control is. You don't know what that piece of software is going to do to other software in your computer. I stick with Apple stuff because I know that Apple controls it, and Apple controls it tightly. And I know that this is probably an unpopular opinion for a lot of people, but I don't.
They're saying you're rolling a 1.
Yeah,
it's because when they control.
I don't want people getting into Apple and saying, "Well, you have to do this," and making Apple stuff work, taking away the synergy that Apple's products have. I like the way Apple products work, and I don't want some government person getting involved and saying Apple's too big, has too much control, so we want to stick our nose in and say that you have to do this and have to do that.
There's 2 aspects of like when you're building software is compatibility, like ease of use, and then security is one of them. Apple is very low security. We don't know what their security systems are doing, if they're tracking you, if they're selling your DNA.
They told the FBI to pound sand when they were trying to get that the dude they were accused of terrorist. They wanted to unlock his phone, and Apple's like, "Yo, we're not doing it because you'd have to make a back end into the thing." So, granted, you can't predict the future, but I was happy with that result that they told the FBI to go F off, so.
No, Apple's a big no for me, dog. I'm not.
I get it.
We had, we got one Apple machine here out of all the machines because we had someone who was like, well, I know how to use Apple, and it's just been a disaster.
I was
like, the integration is the opposite of what you're describing.
Yes, for Apple with using other IBM stuff, but if you're using...
No, like you can't even, like hard drives, for instance. It's like we want to transfer data between hard drives. You could take a hard drive between any PC, but not between Apple.
Yeah.
But like Apple is one company versus the 8 million other companies.
That's part of why I don't want them to mess with Apple, because there's all these other options.
Yeah, but then the hard drive would work between other computers. So instead, it's like we plug the hard drive in, it's like there's no data on it. And we're like, well, it can work in literally any of the various PCs from different brands, different companies, different laptops, but not the Apple.
Yeah.
That one we have weird problems with.
They're finally adopting USB-C, I think. They kept building their own plugs and like
They have
forcing you
to.
buy.
I think Europe passed a law saying they have to use a standard, so it's going to be USB-C.
I was deep on free software last night, thinking about like, so I started to think about the arms manufacturers. I'm like, okay, liberal economic order is basically Lockheed Martin, Boeing. There's 5 of them: Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and General Dynamics. But then there's the British one, BAE Systems. So the 6 of them together comprise about $140 billion of arms dealers. 5 of the 6 largest arms dealers on earth are in America. Yeah. They are supplying us directly with our own weapons. And I was like, would I force them to free their software code? Arguably, hell no. Because, and how would I do that? Because then you're giving your weapons systems to the potential enemy. I don't like thinking in terms of friend and enemy, but they do. The weapons manufacturers sure are. I'm like, can't we just blow up bombs on Mars to heat it up?
We don't make
these
chips.
are actual tactical games they're playing with weapons. They want to fight. That's what this is system. They seem to want to. So, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead,
Phil.
keep going.
So I think there are times that you don't want to open source the code, but when it comes to social media and information, I am bullish. What were you saying?
No, I think that nowadays the chips and most of your microchips and stuff are not made in the U.S., and there's a strong likelihood that they're all compromised anyways.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.